the past couple of years, I've gone to a lot of the major pop tours, specifically Beyonce's Cowboy Carter tour, Olivia Rodrigo's Guts tour, Tate McRae's Miss Possessive tour, Sabrina Carpenter at the BST Hyde Park Festival, Tinashe, the Sugababes, Kendrick Lamar and SZA's Grand National Tour, and most recently, Lady Gaga's Mayhem Ball. So I thought I would rank them from best to worst. And by that, I mean, let me be clear, the tour experience, not how good they are as artists. That's an entirely separate question. So I went to 8 tours, and at number 8, we have Tinashe. Now that is not an indictment of Tinashe as an artist. As I said, I'm speaking specifically about the touring experience. I think a lot of Tinashe's more recent songs are more suited to parties where cool people hang out rather than large venues. Like I could see her songs being played at an after party at the Weeknd's mansion or something, but that doesn't necessarily translate well to a larger venue. I know that she's an independent artist, so her budget is lower than the other artists on my list, but the issue wasn't really the budget, it's the songs, really. They all started to bleed into one another to the point where it was more of a vibe than a tour, if that makes sense. She did have some very cool visuals, very creative, but again, they would be more so suited to a mansion party rather than a tour, in my opinion. Everyone else's tour was of such a high quality and featured art that I love, so this is really difficult. But at number 7, we have the Sugababes. The Sugababes lineup now consists of Siobhan, Mutia, and Keisha, and that's the original lineup. That meant that a lot of the songs, particularly in the mid-section of the performance, were deep cuts from when Siobhan was in the band. However, not many people really knew those songs very well because they were from before the Sugababes actually became a prominent girl band in the UK. And also they weren't very lively songs in general. Another issue with that tour was the fact that the mics were extremely low, so I could barely hear them. I still really enjoyed this show though. I love the Sugababes, but it's not above any of the others I'm about to talk about, so number 7 it is. At number 6, we have the Grand National Tour by Kendrick and SZA. Again, I enjoyed myself immensely at this tour, and Kendrick is an excellent performer, but it didn't really have that intense vibe that I'm looking for from a rap show, apart from when certain songs like Not Like Us came on. Also, the audience was predominantly men, which is fine. Like, I have no issue with the audience being mainly men, but that meant that when SZA came on, a lot of them were completely disinterested and kept wandering off in search of a drink whenever she came on stage. And that made the atmosphere quite disjointed. SZA was great and she's obviously incredibly talented, but a lot of her songs are quite hard to sing. So I got the feeling that she lipped some of the high notes. Well, when I say got the feeling, I observed that she lipped some of the high notes, which is fine. But if I pay for a live performance, I'd really ideally want it to be live, you know? But great tour, but number 6 for sure. At number 5, we have Sabrina Carpenter's show at the BST Hyde Park Festival. Sabrina is super charming and cute and obviously a very charismatic individual in general. I loved her set design, and on the whole, I love the world that she's created for herself. On the whole, I didn't love Man's Best Friend, the album cover, but on the whole, I think she worked really hard to create this brand for herself, and I commend her for that. At the show, she had a lot of energy, but some of her songs didn't translate as well to a big crowd as I thought they would, particularly the country style ones. She obviously has hits for days, but until I actually saw her live, I didn't realize just how high some of her songs are in pitch. And I'm not sure that Sabrina is a natural soprano or always comfortable singing that high. She really came alive for me when she sang a cover of It's Raining Men by the Pointer Sisters. I think songs in that key play to her vocal strengths more. Overall, she put on a great show and there's room to improve, and I would definitely go and see her again. At number 4, we have Olivia Rodrigo's Guts tour, which was last year. That was really fantastic. Olivia is so talented and her songs work really well in an arena setting. much more so than I thought they would, to be honest. I would definitely go and see Olivia again. She's energetic, passionate, and she has a beautiful voice. The reason she's not higher on this list, and I mean she's top 4, which is high, but she's not higher because there were a lot of emo piano ballads that were featured on that tour. And I know Olivia loves those. But in an arena setting, they are just not that compelling unless they're of driver's license quality. Like a ballad that's a banger like Driver's License, which really punches you in the gut. Unless it's at that level, these kind of ballads always sort of fall flat for me in an arena setting. Ballads have to be really good for them to pop in an arena, like Adele level good. And there were just a few too many for my liking. I would love for Olivia to lean into more of the rock side of herself because I think that's where her playfulness and funniness comes out a lot. At number 3, we have the Beyonce Cowboy Carter tour. Beyonce is the performer of our time, so she was always going to be in my top 3 just off the strength of her performance ability alone. I loved hearing her sing some of her older songs in a medley, particularly Irreplaceable, which I had never heard her sing live before. I loved the visuals and loved experiencing just how much Beyonce's voice has gone from strength to strength over the years. However, and I know this is going to be controversial, so forgive me in advance, but I didn't necessarily feel like Beyonce wanted to be there. Not that she hated it, but I didn't get the impression that she loved it either. It's not Mary J. Blige, Mariah Carey level apathy yet, like at all, but I did sense some weariness. The dancing seemed a tad laboured at times. I'm of course influenced by the fact that I didn't necessarily love Cowboy Carter as a body of work, and I was hoping in the way that I had loved previous bodies of work from Beyonce, and I was hoping when I went that the songs would come to life in a live performance setting, and some of them did and some of them didn't for me, but a fantastic show as ever. At number 2, we have Tate McRae's Miss Possessive tour. I know what you guys are going to say, Tate McRae above Beyonce, sacrilege, you're insane. No, as I said at the beginning, this is about the tour, not the artist. Of course, Tate is not in any way comparable to Beyonce on an artistic level because she's half her age with a quarter of Beyonce's experience, right? However, Tate's show was excellent. It really surprised me just how good Tate is live. I know you guys are going to say that I'm crazy, and I get it. I would too, had I not gone and seen the show on a whim. She was incredibly energetic and her dancing was really, really impressive. Dancing can really take a pop music tour to the next level, and Tate really brought it. The vocals were much better than I was expecting as well. The show was also paced really well. It wasn't too long, it didn't drag on, there were no lulls. She danced and sang her ass off, and it was really nice to see. We're in an era right now where the girls stand on stage and essentially whisper. So to see somebody with stage presence was refreshing. The thing is that the quality of Tate's music really has to get to the level of her talent ASAP. A lot of her songs range from fine to great, but she needs a few really excellent songs to take her to the next level, in my opinion. Here's hoping she finds them. And at number 1, we have, drumroll please, Lady Gaga's Mayhem Ball. Everything about that show was spectacular. Gaga's mic was on and she was delivering the vocals all the way through. Absolutely superb. The show was divided into different acts, and each act had a mix of her newer material and the older classics. She really understood what her fans wanted to see and hear. Her dancing was also good. The costumes and the set itself were intricate and well thought out, with too many details to name here without boring you to death. But look, she was dancing with skulls. She was buried in a shallow grave, for goodness sake. The crowd was buzzing throughout. Everyone was on 10. Towards the end, she sat at the piano and just played virtuosically while singing. Several people around me were in tears, like moved to tears by how good she was. Just a 10 out of 10 show. Really, really unmissable. And it's really not even close. Number 1 for sure. My favourite image this week is this one of Hailey Bieber, Zoe Kravitz, Charlie XCX and Rosé from Blackpink. This time, unlike the other images in this series, I haven't selected the image because of its superior aesthetic quality. Quite the contrary, actually. I selected it, in fact, because it reminded me of the humanity of It Girls. the girls that are held up are so much cooler than the rest. It shows me that they too are not immune to the psyop that is much of modern day high fashion, because they were convinced by the powers that be that wearing an anorak over some lacy shorts is a good look. There's something really endearing about that to me, that it's not that it girls have some sort of superior sense of what's cool and what's not. They too are subject to the whims of the powers that be, who have apparently decided that anoraks over pajama shorts with heels and tights is the look right now. And if the powers that be say it's the look, I guess it's the look, even for it girls. And there's nothing more relatable than that. Okay, bye!